I'm going to go through different steps in this video today to help you make a really good informed decision when you're choosing a book in the school library. When you're standing in the school library and you're surrounded by hundreds of books, where do you even start? One of the first things that you need to do when you get into the school library is make sure that you're focused. So you have an idea of where you need to be and you're not distracted by other people. The very first thing that you need to think about is your accelerator reader level. If you've recently done a STAR test or you can't remember exactly what your level is, always check with your teacher. They can look it up for you really quickly, or ask me if I'm in the library and I can have a look for you on the accelerator reader records. Write down your most recent AR level and put the date so that you know it's your current AR level. So you go straight into the library. That helps you know exactly which shelves you should be looking at and choose a book that's at the right level. If you find that you can't find any book on the shelf at that level, or the books that are at that level on the shelf don't interest you, you could always read something that's 1 or 2 levels below or 1 or 2 levels above. And if you're a 6.0 to a 6.9, so that's the silver star section in the library, you'll find there are fewer books in that section for you. That's because those books tend to be quite a challenge, and books that are above that level you'll find are not so appropriate for primary school children. They're a little bit too old for you, so the theme inside the book isn't appropriate. If you find that you're struggling and you're at that level, you really don't know what to choose, please always come and see me. If I'm busy, if I'm teaching, I can make a different time to meet you, and we can pop into the library and have a look. Because accelerator reader means that sometimes we miss amazing books in the library. For instance, you might have never read Wolf Brother by Michelle Paver, and it's the most amazing, exciting book, but it's only a 4.4 or 4.5 in the library, so you might have missed that if you're then at the silver star section. Come and talk to me. I've read quite a lot of books in the school library, and I can really help you try to choose something else. Although it's lower than your 6.0 to 6.9 range, it really doesn't matter. What's more important is that you've read all of the amazing books in the library and you haven't skipped some of them. Okay, looking at the front cover, and it's something that we all do. I still do this as an adult. I think it's really important looking at the front cover. We can't make just an informed decision on the front cover and take that book straight away and expect to enjoy it. But it does give us some information to make an informed decision, to then have a closer look at that book. So do we like the front cover? Does it spark our interest? So are there any clues on the front cover as to what the story might be about? So if we have a look at the front cover of this one, we can see here that there is a boy or a girl here in the story wearing jeans and a hoodie, so possibly set around now in modern times, probably not a historical novel. This person has got a dog companion. Where's the story set? Does it show us? Oh, look, this could be Buckingham Palace, or could it be somewhere else in the world? Let's have a look at the title. It says Rendezvous in Russia. Ah, so this must be the Tsar's palace, maybe in Russia. So it's set somewhere else. It says rendezvous in Russia. What does rendezvous mean? Well, we could look that up in the dictionary if we don't know. And that word means a meet, like a meeting. So meeting somebody perhaps in Russia. Does she know who she's meeting? If she doesn't, perhaps it could give us some clues as to the genre as well. So does the front cover spark your interest? Does it look exciting? What clues are there on the front cover that tell us what the story is going to be about? Okay, another step is to have a look at the blurb on the back of the book. Sometimes you'll find, like on this one here, there isn't hardly anything at all. So have a look on the inside of the front cover and you'll find the blurb on the back. And also, if you look in the back of a book, sometimes you'll find some information about that author. So have a look at the blurb on the back, read the blurb. Does it give you more of an idea of what the story is going to be about? And then if you find that that interests you, then you can then delve deeper into the book and see whether that's the book for you. Another step is to have a look at who the book's written by, who the author is. So this book, for instance, here is by Philip Pullman. It's just one of my favourite authors. And I would read this book if I hadn't read the books by him. Check though whether it's a series of books. If it's a series of books, is it the first one? It's really important if you're reading a series to read them in chronological order, and that means to read the first book first and then the second and the third and so on, read them in order. Otherwise you might find that the books don't make sense because you've missed key things in the story beforehand to help you with the next book. So make sure that they're in order. So Philip Pullman, for instance, I would need to read his books in order. This is the Dark Materials, and I think this is book 2 or 3. So I'd need to make sure I'd read the first one first. Also, when you're choosing an author, don't always choose the same author. Or if you've read all of the books by Philip Pullman, for instance, or all of the books by David Walliams or Roald Dahl, sometimes it's difficult to know what to choose next. Come and see me, come and talk to me in the library. If I'm not there, come and find me in school and ask if I can make a different time to come and see you, or ask any of the adults in school. We can all help you to find what to read next. Sometimes it's really difficult when you've read all of the books by one author to know where to go next, or even if you've read all of the books in a series, to know what to choose next. It can be really difficult. So if you're not sure, come and ask. For instance, if you've read David Walliams' books, I would say to you to definitely read like books like this by Phil Earle or by Danny Wallace. Funny books, but they're just a little bit more of a challenge than the David Walliams books that you've completely enjoyed. So that's thinking about the author. The next is to think about genre. Is the book going to be a non-fiction book? So here I've got this one, Women in Art, and inside is a fantastic book. Inside, every page is about a different female artist through history. I've got here The Butterfly Garden. Not a lot of words on this book, but this is a beautiful non-fiction book. Or are you going to read fiction? So think about fiction or non-fiction, and then also think about then the theme, about the genre of the book. Do you want to read a mystery book? So I've got Dead Man's Cove here. Dead Man's Cove, the title gives us an idea that perhaps this could be a mystery or a detective book, that perhaps something's gone wrong, or it's in a spooky place perhaps. So think about, does that spark your interest? Pugs of the Frozen North. Well, we can see here that these pugs are in what looks like the Arctic Circle or something like that, or Antarctica, somewhere cold. So probably an adventure as it's set somewhere else. And obviously the blurb on the back gives you an idea of the genre. So is it a genre that you've read loads of that you really enjoy? Or perhaps you might find it's a genre that you've never read before. It's a really good idea to read lots of different genres. It really helps you to make a really good choice then for your next book. Don't always stick to the same genre. For instance, children in the library sometimes only want to read just animal books. So make sure you're reading different genres. It helps you get to know new authors as well. Okay, what do we do sometimes if we find that a book's too difficult? And quite often children haven't made the right AR choice on their book, and then they find the book is too much of a challenge. Once you've looked at the front cover of the book and you've looked at the blurb and you've made a decision that actually that sparked your interest and you want to find out a little bit more and see if the book is for you, open the book up to a random page And I do this with every book that I was going to choose. Find somewhere quiet in the library just to sit down for 2 minutes, read that page, and for every word that you come across that you can't read or that you don't understand the meaning of the word, put one finger up. Do that for every single word on that page that you don't understand. If you come to 4 or 5 words, that's going to tell you that the book is too hard. So you've got 5 fingers up, the book's going to be too much of a challenge. And if a book's too much of a challenge, you're not going to enjoy that story at all or enjoy that non-fiction book, and choose something else. Think about the length of the book as well. So for instance, we've got this one here, which is a really thick book with, if you'll open up inside, quite small writing, lots of writing on one page, not many pictures. And then we've got this one, which is a much thinner book, pictures and not as many words on a page. Don't choose a really thick book if you find thinner books are a bit of a challenge for you at the moment. Become more confident. Read shorter stories first of all until you've built up your confidence and you become a better reader, and then move on to the thicker books. In Accelerator Reader, you might find that you find a book in your level and it's a really big book, but that's fine. You should be able to read it. It's your level. But what you might find is if it's a really thick book, it's going to be too much of a challenge for you with stamina. So that means being able to keep reading it, because if you read a book and you're quite a slow reader, you could be reading that book for a very long time and you're going to get bored with the story. And there is no point reading a book and being bored, because we read for pleasure. Books give us so much pleasure and joy. There's no point reading a book then that you get bored with. So really think about the challenge of that book, about the length of that book, the size of the words on the pages. What do we do if we've chosen a book and we've read the first 1 or 2 pages and we think, this book's really boring, I don't want to read this book anymore, and you ask the teacher, can you go back to the library to choose another book? You need to persevere with your book. You can't always expect to love a book right from the very first page. Some books, they grasp your imagination and your interest immediately, right from those first few words on the page. Some books you might find it takes you 1 or 2 or 3 chapters before you actually get into the story, before it draws you in. Some books are quite slow at setting the scene, and then they build pace then as you get hooked into the story. So don't give up immediately. Have some stamina and some perseverance. Keep going with the book and try to read until the end, because you might find that you absolutely love that book and you could have just given up straight away.